The House Oversight Committee dropped 33,000 Epstein files last week. They released the birthday book yesterday, but I am going to show you a piece of footage that on the surface, well, it doesn't look that remarkable. But once you understand what Speaker Mike Johnson is actually saying, well, it changes the entire narrative around the Epstein case. So let's dig in.
And he's not saying that what Epstein did is a hoax. It's a terrible, unspeakable evil. He believes that himself. When he first heard the rumor, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. He was an FBI informant to try to take this stuff down. The president knows and has great sympathy for the women who have suffered these unspeakable harms. It's detestable to him. He and I have spoken about this as recently as 24 hours ago.
That clip, it went viral because it appeared that Johnson was paving the way for how the Trump administration would spin his 20-year relationship with Epstein. Now, in Johnson's story, Trump was an undercover agent who was close to Epstein and reluctantly took part in all those crimes that happened at his now infamous parties because he was trying to get the dirt that would ultimately lead to Epstein's prosecution. While this may seem plausible to a community of QAnon conspiracy theorists desperately looking for ways to excuse the obvious connections between their president and the most notorious sex trafficker in history, what Johnson is actually admitting is that Trump knew about Epstein and was part of his world all along. And here's the crazy thing. Mike Johnson is probably not lying. It's actually just corroborating evidence in the publicly acknowledged and agreed upon Trump-Epstein timeline that adds context to the very public falling out that Trump had with Epstein shortly before the first court cases landed against him in 2007.
I did have a falling out a long time ago. The reason doesn't make any difference.
Now, for almost 20 years, Trump and Epstein were close friends. They flew on private jets together, they appeared at the same parties, and competed with one another to date the most beautiful women. Trump even wrote a birthday note for Epstein's 50th birthday in 2003, where his own confirmed signature occupies a particularly suggestive part of the hand-drawn image. But just 1 year later, everything between the two men changed. It happened while Trump was in the process of filing for bankruptcy for the fourth time in his career after a series of Trump-branded casinos went belly up. Epstein invited Trump to visit a property he was thinking of purchasing called the Maison de l'Amitié, which ironically translates from French to the House of Friendship. Now, here's Epstein's biographer, Michael Wolff, who also wrote a book on the first Trump administration, talking about how the deal went south.
There was a house in Palm Beach that Epstein believed he was the top bidder on at $36 million. He brought his friend Trump with him to look at the house and advise him on moving the swimming pool. His friend Trump immediately went behind his back and bid $40 million for the house and got it.
At the time, Trump was literally bankrupt, which is probably why Epstein didn't suspect that he might be a competitor for the upcoming bidding war on the property. He also probably didn't expect his friend to double-cross him. Here's the New York Post. The auction day in November 2004 unfolded as a tense courtroom drama, with Trump deciding to participate directly via phone, which had come as a shock to the judge and the lawyers present. And then a little further down, Epstein made an opening bid of $37.25 million, but as the stakes escalated, he ultimately bowed out after Trump trumped his offer with a staggering $41.35 million bid. Trump had made up his mind to get it no matter the price. That sum was so over the top that it frankly didn't make any sense at all. Where did Trump, who was broke, come up with the money? Here's Michael Wolff again.
Epstein understood that Trump didn't have the money, so therefore that he must be fronting for someone. And right. Epstein began to make noise that he was going to sue Trump and reveal this and go to the press.
Who did he think he got the money from?
The man who ultimately bought the house. So Trump bought the house for $40 million. Less than 2 years later, it was sold for $95 million to a Russian oligarch named Rybolev.
That's right. Epstein believed that it was all part of a money laundering scheme between Trump and a Russian oligarch. In 2004, and still today, it's difficult to move money in and out of Russia. And even more so when the gains come from questionable sources. Now, Rybolev is close to Putin. He owns a football club. He's the 391st richest person in the world and had a very messy divorce where all sorts of details about his life came out in court records. According to Wolf, Epstein was so upset that he missed out on owning the Palm Beach property that he threatened to prove that Trump made the bid with the oligarch's illicit cash. The court cases Epstein threatened would put all of those financial details into the public domain. But what Epstein didn't count on was that Trump could play an unthinkable card. He could expose what he had personally seen and been a part of over the course of their friendship and tell the FBI that Epstein was a sex trafficker. This would both stop the legal cases that Epstein was in the process of filing, but also possibly give Trump a sort of immunity against prosecution by turning on his friend. Epstein couldn't fathom that Trump would potentially incriminate himself with such a scheme. And here's Michael Wolff again.
Perhaps the broader point is that Trump was aware of what was going on in Epstein's house for a very long time before this, and because of that awareness, which he had not previously disclosed, he then used that against Epstein.
But he'd also been a participant, as Epstein showed through the photographs he displayed to you.
Yes, I mean that is all I know is that Donald Trump knew what was going on at Jeffrey Epstein's house. There was a set of photographs in which he was with girls of indeterminate age around Epstein's pool. I mean, let me not go further than that. That's what I know.
So when Speaker Johnson says that Trump was an FBI informant,
He was an FBI informant.
what he was really saying is that Trump double-crossed his best friend to gain an advantage in a shady real estate transaction and then raised the stakes when his best friend he betrayed fought back. Of course, if Trump was an FBI informant, that also means that his name is going to be all over the Epstein files. It's certainly all over the birthday book that was just released. Trump would have given statements to law enforcement about what he had seen and knew about, and there would be a series of reports that established the eventual case for the FBI to file charges against Epstein just a few years later. This is also probably why Trump had to bring in 1,000 FBI agents to redact the Epstein files before ever considering releasing them. Which brings me to another point about those 33,000 files that the House Oversight Committee released last week and the other 4 releases that came out on Monday. In this giant trove of data, all of the court filings, all of the footage.
He told me about this guy I was short on rent 1 month. And she told me that all I had to do was give him a massage and he would give me $200.
And then 1 week later, his will, a non-prosecution agreement, his contact book, and the 238-page birthday book with well wishes and lewd drawings and letters from powerful people all over the world. Now, this second release with the birthday book is easy for me to get my head around. But the first one, it remains really problematic. It included video of his house after his arrest, warrants, criminal complaints, security footage the night Epstein died in his cell, and well, just so much more. The entire archive is available for public scrutiny, but at first, most of the media reported that there really wasn't anything new in it. But I downloaded the archive myself, and one thing that was immediately clear, well, to tell you the truth, the only thing that was immediately clear was that the archive of materials was purposely organized in a way to make it almost impossible to sift through. Altogether, it's about 50 gigabytes of information, all videos and images. The files don't have subject names anywhere and are listed instead by their official and arbitrary DOJ ID. In other words, while the case files are all here, they are all pictures of the legal briefs and communications that aren't searchable like they would be in a PDF. The individual JPEGs, well, they don't appear to be in a specific order. So as you scroll through all of those files, you will be going from one page to another, to a different file, to the first file, to the 470th file. And it's just impossible to make sense of anything that is going on in that. And it's almost as if they don't want anyone actually looking through it. Now, I don't blame the House Oversight Committee for this, but rather how the DOJ shared the information with them. The DOJ is not interested in transparency in this case, even when they present themselves as if they are. It's like what happens when corporations comply with discovery requests by sending hundreds of thousands of paper documents to the plaintiffs of mostly useless information in order to camouflage any actually damning evidence. Anyway, so I've downloaded this whole trove of information, and I'm getting ready for the congressional vote to release even more files in the coming weeks. The birthday book, which was released while I was writing the script for this video, was horrific. I mean, it's not only that it contained Trump's poem about the secrets that he shared with Epstein, which I've gone over on this channel before, but so many images about personal notes from Epstein's friends and the sorts of terrible things that they did together. I mean, just take a look at this one image, a drawing that was given to Trump by one of his close billionaire friends. It's all stuff like this, but actually recounting to you the worst examples of those actions will definitely trigger YouTube to demonetize this video, just like they did the last one I did about Epstein. But if you see this picture and these other writings that are in that book, you know that this is horrible, horrible stuff. And I will do a more in-depth post on it all over at Substack, where I go over the juicier bits. So give a subscribe over there. In the meanwhile, I'm reaching out to partners of mine in the AI space to see if they might have a way to automatically index this whole trove of information. And if I'm fortunate, I might just be able to get a real idea of what is in there. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems that this is one of the few issues that actually unifies the nation. Everyone wants to know what happened in the Epstein case because it seems like with this story, once you start pulling on one thread, it connects everything. It connects Israeli spying operations, the movement of billions of dollars, the odd sexual depravity of the people who are in power. And we all want to know what's in these files because it tells us what's going on with the leaders of this democracy that we are all, trying to participate in. Anyway, with that happy thought, I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video and letting me settle into your minds and influencing the neural connections that make you tick. Let me subtly suggest that supporting this channel keeps independent journalism like this alive and thriving, and I'm trying to build the Substack out so that I can give you something which is special. And I'm thinking maybe I'm going to do some AMAs just with the people who actually support this fiercely independent journalism that is just so hard to do. So go over, check it out, sucarney.substack.com, and you'll get that warm and fuzzy feeling that comes with being an ever freer thinker. From Pokey Bear LLC in Denver, Colorado, this was Scott Carney Investigates.